PBS has a new distribution deal with Amazon to simulcast 150 local stations. We talk with PBS's digital head Ira Rubenstein about the deal and its 2025 strategy. Listen on for more.
Welcome to this week's edition of Inside the Stream. This is Will Richmond from Video News, and that was Colin Dixon from End Screen Media at the top there. Happy New Year, Colin. First podcast of the year.
It is 2025. Can you believe it, Will? Goodness me. I don't know. These years seem to go by faster and faster. But we are starting the year with an interview, right?
We are so pleased to welcome Ira Rubenstein, who is the Chief Digital and Marketing Officer for PBS, to our first podcast of 2025. Welcome, Ira.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome, Ira. We wanted to have you on because, once again, PBS is out there in the leading broadcasters. You did a very interesting deal with Amazon. Well, it was announced at the end of last year, 2024. So would you just sort of give us the shape of what this deal is that you've done with Amazon?
Sure. We're really excited by this new partnership with Amazon Prime Video. What it's going to do, it's going to allow for all 150 of our member stations, along with the PBS Kids channel, to be available for free streaming on Prime Video in their free streaming area. So you don't have to have a Prime Video membership to access this. And we're really excited about this because it is, once again, helping to bring our local stations with their local customized broadcast signal to their market in their area through the Amazon platform.
So people will only be able to watch their channel, their local channel, or will they be able to watch any PBS channel? That's
correct. It's their local channel. That's obviously part of the challenging part working with us. We're not a traditional network. We are a membership organization, and we are of 150 different member stations in over 300 markets. And so based on your zip code, you will be localized to the station in your market. And in some markets, that's more than one station. Where I live in Arlington, Virginia, for example, there's 3 stations that will be available. The Maryland Public Television, PBS, WEDA, PBS, out DC, and Howard University.
And then you as a viewer would then be given those choices, then choose which feed you wanted to focus on.
That is correct. And all of our stations do a really good job in localizing and customizing for their audiences. So in the case of, I'll use WEDA, for example. WEDA has a couple terrific shows. One's called If You Lived Here. It kind of goes through different communities and gives a history of the community and talks about the real estate within the community. Maryland Public Television has a great barbecue show that they have. I'm trying to think of what unique show Howard University has, but I'm sure all your listeners who are across this country can think of their local station and their local show. And that's what makes PBS unique. And that's our strength is our local. And that's how it sets us apart and makes us different from everyone else. And that's why a deal like this is so important, because it's bringing that local program station in a linear format to viewers who might not be on broadcast, who might not be on a cable bundle still, who might not be downloading our free app, but are there on the Amazon free TV area in that FAST offering. And you both have talked about in the past on your podcast, how much this area is growing. And when you think about FAST, it's very much like what broadcast TV was in the 50s, 60s, but it's for this new audience of cord nevers, so to speak. And so we're just thrilled to be able to expand our local stations broadcast to this audience.
That's great. And so, maybe paraphrasing what you just said, Ira, is the primary purpose of distributing the 150 channels through Prime the ability to reach viewers who maybe otherwise wouldn't sort of have access to the channels because they don't have an antenna, or they don't subscribe to a traditional pay TV bundle in which the local PBS affiliate would have been bundled. So they've essentially become, unreachable, and Amazon, this free area of Amazon, now makes them reachable through this deal.
That's exactly right. I mean, we all, talk about how the audience is bifurcated across all these different platforms. And of course, we have a free app. And of course, I want people to use our app. And our app is very unique. It's highly customizable. Again, when you load the PBS app, it actually asks you to localize. They'll localize to your local station in your market. Again, the local shows can get fed into the app. And that's one way for people to get to us. But it's important that we are where the audience is. And as I was mentioning, just this growth in the fast space and with no must carry, and I can come back and talk about must carry, it is up to us to work with these partners in a creative way to make it feasible for them to carry all 150 local stations ad-free, because we are a non-commercial platform. As I just briefly mentioned, what must carry was back in the cable era. A negotiation was handled prior to my time where cable companies were required to carry all local stations, PBS stations, in their market. There was no retrans fees paid to the stations in exchange for that carriage. And it was also dictated that the carriage had to be with the other network. That's why PBS was right next to CBS, NBC, and ABC on that old cable dial. Of course, in the digital age, everything's customizable. You have AI generating your feeds. And so it's really up to us to make sure that people know we're there, people are watching us, and customizing their experience to include their local station with their other linear feeds.
Now, this is a tremendous resource, I think, for audiences to tap into, particularly things like PBS Kids. It's great that there's a safe place for people to be able to sit their kids and allow them to watch. How are you partnering with Amazon to make these channels discoverable? How can people find them?
So we work with Amazon in talking about exactly where it'll show up in their guide and how when people first turn on. But again, companies like Amazon and their algorithms and what they know, I feel pretty confident that they'll be able to surface the content to the right person at the right time. But it really is going to be leaning in with our local stations and letting them also let people know that their broadcast signal can be found on this platform as well as others. And so I think it's more of a partnership effort. But at the end of the day, I'm trusting the algorithm a lot.
Okay, fair enough. And actually, just talking about timing, when is the timing for the 150 member stations to become visible in the Amazon app?
So you can imagine that it is quite a technical lift for our partner. So they'll be rolling out slowly over the next, over the course of, I would say, the next month or two. Come early January, some stations should be up, and it'll just continue to roll out over that first quarter.
Okay.
And this is a straight simulcast of the regular broadcast channel?
That is correct. It is a simulcast of the local station broadcast channel. And again, we're a unique network. Again, a membership organization. And Thursday and Saturday nights, for example, all locally programmed. And so it'll be your unique broadcast signal from your station in your market.
And will this link in any way to the PBS app on that's also running in Fire TV?
There's no direct link between the Amazon Prime live linear channels and our PBS app. We, of course, are on Amazon Fire TV platforms. We have an app there. I'm very proud of that app. That app was one of the first to do what we call one-click donations, where as you're watching on our app on the Amazon platform and you want to support your local station, you no longer have to call the 800 number. You just click yes, donate, and the local station gets the money directly through a platform that we've built out with these partners. I will tell you the conversion rate on that donate page is 12%. And that's what makes me really optimistic and hopeful for the future of public media, because in the past, we would have to lobby for people to call us, support your station, become a member. In the digital age, with a simple click and the charging the credit card on file, I think that removes a lot of the friction and can generate easier support for your local station, which is critically important to the business model of public media.
That perhaps answers the question another question I was going to ask is why Amazon first? I think maybe that's a great reason, right?
We have a long-standing relationship with the whole company. We are on the AWS platform for our app. We've done work with them with their Bedrock AI, our recommendation engine that is powered on the app, is through Bedrock. Basically, it will recommend content for you based on your viewing habits. Of course, the Amazon Fire relationship, Fire TV, and of course, there is the PBS distribution SVOD channels, Masterpiece and Docs that run on Amazon Prime as well. So there's a long-standing relationship with this company, and we really appreciate the level of support that they've given to public media.
Yeah. And actually, Ira, in addition to the member stations being available in Prime Video in the free section, there's also two others, PBS Drama and PBS Documentaries, that are sounds like they're being launched as new fast channels within the Prime Video app. So can you tell us more about those and also the timing of their rollout?
Sure. Those are also rolling out right now. Those channels are older content of drama, so content that's been off of broadcast about 5 years or longer. But you have to remember, again, with public media, we're very unique in how we create content. We don't own any content. It's like the old network model before FinCEN went away, where the networks didn't own any shows. So we work really closely with our producers, who often have to deficit fund to make the content. And they often work with a company called PBS Distribution, which is a joint venture with us and WGBH. And that's where they're monetizing a lot of the content after broadcast. So in the case of FAST, there's monetization with ads there. In the linear channel, of course, of your local station, we're non-commercial.
And so just to loop with the PBS Drama and PBS Documentaries channels, will they also show up maybe in the PBS app later? I'm a PBS subscriber. I know I'd love to have those channels to be able to tune in.
Well, without diverging anything that I can't talk about quite yet, I would say we're actively looking at how we can bring more content and linear content to the app. I will say this, I'm really proud of the amount of live linear content we've brought to the app. So today, you have your local station primary feed. We have announced to the system that they are able to bring 2 more additional live linear feeds of their multicast channels. As you know, in broadcast, there's multiple broadcast channels, so that's additional 3 more channels. We have the World Channel and Create Channel, which are public media channels of docs and lifestyle content. We also announced an agreement to broadcast NHK, the Japanese channel in English. That's live linear streaming right now. And we've also announced bringing FNX, which is Indigenous People of America. It's a channel that is not quite seen across the country, but with this arrangement, stations will be able to also live linear stream. So I'm always looking for additional live linear streams for the app for that very reason, Colin, that you brought up. I want to give people a reason to open our app, see what's there, and enjoy that content, because there's only so many apps you're going to open up. And I want to always have fresh content for people to have a little bit of a sense of discovery, as well as, of course, the great library of public media content that we have for free in the app. And then, as you mentioned, as a member and with Passport, you have access to the whole library of content. So any Ken Burns film you'd like to watch, or all seasons of All Creatures Great and Small, for example, all available for being a supporter of one of our stations.
I should have asked you about that earlier, Ira, when we're talking about the 150 stations being available in the Prime app in the free section. Is there an on-demand component to that as well, or a DVR component? So like if I wanted to watch the news hour not at the scheduled time that it runs, would I be able to do that through the app, through Amazon?
There is no DVR component available, and there is no on-demand component available with that.
Okay, so full linear only.
It's a full linear, but of course, all of that's available on the PBS app. And in the case of NewsHour, again, a lot of people don't know this, but that's available up on YouTube as well. Our news and public affairs content, we have a pretty, it's mission based to get that content out as widely as possible. And so we do have Frontline, Firing Line, Washington Week, and NewsHour up on YouTube, and they do quite well there.
So this is obviously it's a great deal. I think Amazon is probably a perfect partner. It sounds like an almost perfect partner for you, because it gives you such great reach, and you're already working with them on and so many other ways. But they only represent a certain part of the fast market. There are other very large platforms like Pluto TV, Tubi. I mean, the Roku channel sounds like it could be an interesting partner. Is this something that you're also considering?
Oh, we're always evaluating new ways to engage with new and existing partners to help support our mission and make our PBS trusted content available to a broader audience. So I would say we're always talking to people, and each company, has unique needs. And so we're trying our best to figure out how we can effectively partner with each one.
Tell us a little bit about what your thought process is there as you evaluate other potential fast partners. What are you looking at? What are some of the things you're looking for in a potential partner?
That's a really good question. The partners will laugh. All the partners will laugh because they know I say this all the time. I always look for donation support. Always. I just believe that is the key success for the future of public media. And all these partners, or many of them, have a wallet built in. And I've done a lot of the hard work on the backside to make it to tie into that system, so they don't have to tie into 150 stations. That is definitely one of our key metrics. I also look at their audience, the size of the audience. I look at what other live linear content is there. I look at the business itself. Do I believe that they're in it for the long haul? We have limited resources, and we have to be a little selective on who we partner with.
No doubt. And actually, that might be a good segue, Ira, into kind of zooming out a little bit and just ask you to share your views. There's so much happening in the digital landscape these days, and OTT, and the disruption that we've seen through cord cutting. I wonder if you could just kind of share your perspective on what some of the critical changes are that are happening in the industry that are most on your mind as you're formulating these new partnerships and new ways to bring PBS content to market.
Yeah, gosh, that's a really good question. I've been in the industry for a while, and what I've been telling people recently is the pace of change and the pace of business model change among these partners is happening faster than at any moment in my career. I mean, you can have a meeting with one partner in, say, CES, and then by NAB, their business model has changed. And so that is something that I'm kind of like thinking about. Again, it's kind of the long haul, but from the highest strategic level, I am very focused on trying to help build solutions at scale for our stations, being 150 of them. They call them in all shapes and sizes, different ownership or license ownership models. Some are owned by universities, some are owned by school districts, some are what's called community license, some are even owned by their state. And so they have some unique properties that are associated with this. Some are a joint licensee with NPR, some are not. And for those who are listening, NPR is a separate organization. It is not NPR and PBS. So I am really looking towards how can I help stations bring their local experience to these platforms at scale so that they can focus their resources on local content and local experiences and local engagements, because that's what they do best. And that is what sets us apart from every other media company out there. We like to say we're in the same industry as some of the other media companies, but we have a completely different business model. And by us focusing on local, that's how public media is best able to compete with some very deep-pocketed tech/media companies out there. And when I mean compete for eyeballs, because that's our mission. Our mission is all about getting this high-quality, important content that no one else would make out to the American public. And I'm actually quite proud of what we do. It's quite rewarding. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, we can definitely hear that for sure. It does seem that local is the sort of ace in the hole that PBS really has. I've seen plenty of data that support the idea that in whatever domain people are watching, whether they're watching digitally or over the top or they're watching traditional media, local still has a very, very high interest level and viewership when people can get it. So talk a little bit more about how you're leveraging local to drive PBS forward in 2025 and beyond.
So we do that in multiple ways. Primarily is the deal we're talking about. It's 150 local station linear feeds. It's not one national, PBS feed. That doesn't scream local. It isn't local. The way the app is built that customizes and localizes content for the viewer leans into the local. The actual content at the local level, that's up to each station, and each station has different strengths and weaknesses. But for the most part, all of our stations have that hyper-local show service. It could be government talk. It could be covering the state capitol. We have a station that covers high school football. It comes in all shapes and sizes. But what I try to focus on is help them get that content out to all these different platforms at scale. Because, the PBS app, for example, we're on 20 different platforms. It takes a lot of work to make an app for works on Samsung or Vizio and then work on Amazon Fire or Apple or Roku. I mean, you name the platform. It's a lot of work.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground here, Ira. And Colin, I don't know if you had anything else, but I think we're just about out of time. And this has been really super informative, Ira.
Yeah. Thanks, Ira. As I said at the beginning, I think PBS often leads because you aren't encumbered by some of the licensing restrictions and business restrictions that some of the other broadcasters are laboring under. That said, they do tend to end up going in similar ways. So I think you're very definitely leading the way into FAST. So I fully expect them eventually to show up in the FAST, just like you are. So hopefully you'll be coming to some of the other FAST platforms soon as well, so that we get really good coverage pretty much for everybody.
I hope we can get there too. Thank you both for having me on. I do say PBS is the biggest digital secret out there. I think people, when they start hearing some of the numbers, of over 500 million streams a month, we have over 5 million activated PBS Passport accounts. The numbers are actually quite impressive given the size of our organization, the budget of our organization. But most important, when you actually use our app or go to pbs.org, which was just relaunched with a new design, people get a great experience and they can find the content that they want. And they can explore and see content that they wouldn't find anywhere else. So thank you again for having me on and supporting public media.
Great, and thank you, Ira. We appreciate it. Hopefully the interview makes what PBS is doing in digital just a little bit less of a secret.
Thanks, Ira.
Thanks, Ira, and Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks, everybody, for listening in on this week's edition of Inside the Stream. And we will see you all again next week.
Inside the Stream is a production of In-Screen Media and Video News, all rights reserved.